and welcome back to my channel. So I am super excited to make this video for you today because I really feel like I'm bringing something new to the table that hasn't been brought on this subject that I have seen yet. What we are going to be talking about today is the newly released film Cuties, which I'm sure everybody has heard about. It has made 100 million waves in the social media community just based on the poster or marketing of this movie alone. Now, if you don't know what I'm referring to, there was a very controversial image put up by Netflix when they were marketing this movie, and I'm going to put that up here so you can see that. But after a lot of criticism, Netflix actually went back and changed the image that they were putting up on their website to market the film. Now, they did this because they were getting a lot of pushback on it being overly sexualizing children or minorities or contributing to pedophilia. Now, I watched a lot of my favorite influencers and social media people talking about this, and the one thing that I kept hearing was nobody had actually seen the movie, and it made sense because the movie, I think, just came out on the 9th. So it made sense that a lot of people hadn't seen it, so they were just basing their opinions off of the image that was being put out there to market this film. Now, another misconception that I personally had about this film was that it was a documentary. In the original poster, it gave no indication that this was actually a French film. It also gave the impression that it was a documentary and not an actual film, okay? So that's number one. I don't know if Netflix did that intentionally because historically, foreign films are not really appealing to people. Number one, because they're foreign. And number two, because, a lot of times people don't want to read, the captioning on the bottom. They want to be able to listen to the words. So some of those things are a deterrent for people. I myself really appreciate foreign films. If you don't know, I'm an actress. I love to watch movies. I appreciate the art behind it. I love to really get into the story, which is the whole point of making a film. So I really want to talk about this from a few different perspectives. I want to talk about it from my background as an actress. I want to talk about it from a mother's standpoint or a parent's standpoint. And I want to talk about it from a woman's standpoint. So first, I want to start off by giving you a little bit of background about this movie, okay? Like I said, it was originally a French film. It did win an award at the Sundance Film Festival, which there's a lot of controversy around the Sundance Film Festival. I understand that, but we're not going to talk about that because what I really want to talk about is this film. Now, the director and creator of this film, and I hope I don't butcher her name, is Mamouna Doucouré. She is a French Senegalese, if I'm saying that correctly, woman, beautiful woman. And I watched a little interview with her about why she decided to make this film. Now, this film, like I said, is not a documentary. It is loosely based on her experience, both as an adult and as a young woman, because the main character in this film, Amy, who in the film, I believe she plays an 11-year-old girl. In real life, she's 14. The little girl is based on Mamouna's upbringing as a child. So she put a lot of her own experience as a child into this main character. Now, the interesting part about this movie is that a lot of people really felt like it was pushing pedophilia. It was over-sexualizing little girls, which I 100% agree based on just the image that Netflix was putting out, which I believe was just to gain interest and, buzz about the movie, which whether you liked it or not, it certainly did that, okay? Because now people are going to watch this movie just to see what the deal is, regardless of whether there's subtitles in it or not. But the director explains that when she was in Paris, I think she was an adult at this point, she was in Paris and she was at some type of an event and they had performers performing at this event And on the stage, a group of young girls came onto the stage and started dancing very provocatively. They were young girls, and she was appalled. She was appalled by what she saw, and it sent her on a journey to research this topic of how girls are able to do this type of stuff and behave this type of way and why they do it. So, like I said, she researched this for a whole year. She met with hundreds of teens and discussed things about femininity, how they felt about their femininity as a young girl, social media and their effects on how social media affects the way they view themselves. And so she decided she had enough material and I think enough thought-provoking content to make a film based on what young girls these days experience. And that really is what Cuties is about. Now, I do not remember what the film at the film festival was called because it wasn't called Cuties, but I'm going to post a picture of what the original what the original film was called here so you can see. But again, had they put that up originally as it was intended under the French name, I don't think people would have watched it. You know, even if it had the image, you know, that it was portrayed at Sundance Film Festival, I don't think people would have watched it. It would have given it a completely different vibe. Now, the basis of this movie is around a character named Amy. Like I said, in the movie, she's an 11-year-old girl. She is Black, I'm assuming Ceylonese, but she's a Muslim. She is growing up in a very strict environment with, her Muslim traditions. She lives with her mother and her grandmother. There is a father in the picture, but I guess in their religion or in their culture, maybe the father was still living in their home country. This took place in France. But in their culture, the man is allowed to take on more than one wife. So it is explained in the movie that her father is not present, but that at one point he does take on another wife. So there's a whole nother dynamic there of her just being brought up by women with really no male figure in her life. Now, Amy attends school and she sees these girls named the Cuties. That's where the name comes from. And these girls are like your typical group of girls that are out of school. They're maybe considered the cool group of girls. You know, they dress very very hip. Some dress kind of provocatively. But, they're the girls that you kind of think, oh, like I want to be a part of that group. And Amy is very sheltered. She dresses kind of very toned down as a little girl should. But she's very, respectful to her traditions. So, she wears like her head covering and all that stuff, but she sees these girls and naturally she's in awe of them. She's in awe of like their aura. She's in awe of how cool they are. She loves that they're dancers. And one of these girls actually lives in her same apartment building. So she runs into her one day and sees that this girl is dancing. Okay. So there's her first experience that she has. And it's very, very similar to what every little girl goes through. I think in every generation, I know other people have, but the layer that's in there that people my age didn't have to deal with, that I know kids these age do have to deal with, is the social media aspect. Okay. So you see, that Amy starts to get curious about social media. So she starts to look on social media and she starts to see videos of girls dancing provocatively. It looks like a similar platform to Instagram or Facebook. She sees girls taking pictures with duck faces and putting filters over their face. So she wants to emulate that. She wants to be a part of that. She wants to be a part of something cool. She feels odd because she's growing up in this very traditional Muslim household where, her mother makes her pray, her grandmother makes her cook with them, learns to, do traditions, that are, a staple in her family. So she feels like the odd duck. And she's exposed to this. And the movie is really about her struggle between these two models of femininity, okay? The very traditional kind and the very non-traditional kind that we see everywhere today, okay? We almost see it in excess. It's the non-traditional that is very rare these days to see. However, it takes you through the journey of what she goes through as a young girl, ultimately leading to a decision that she has to make. Do I want to stay being this person that I don't even recognize, that my family's not proud of? Or do I want to revert back to the foundation that my family has built for me, that resides in my culture, that resides in self-respect? So I don't want to ruin the film for you, but really that is what it is about. It is not a documentary. In my mind, and I'm going to be really honest with you guys, because you know that I try to keep it real here, but in my mind, this movie is not a terrible movie. Shame on Netflix. I will say this. Shame on Netflix for trying to get views and publicity by posting a very provocative image to sell this movie and using young girls to do so. The other side of it is, from an actor standpoint, there's some racy scenes in this movie that these young girls as actresses have to, act out. And that is part of, being an actor. And, I've been on set with my daughter. In fact, my daughter recently did a movie last year, actually. And she was 17 when the movie started, but actually turned 18 in the middle of production. And there was a scene that they wanted her to do, but because she was underage, and it wasn't like a crazy scene, it was just kind of simulating a girl undressing behind a curtain and a man watching. And they asked me as her mom, like, would you be comfortable doing this? Now, thank God this was such an awesome group of people to work with, because even though I was okay with the scene, my daughter was 17, she wasn't 11. I was okay with the scene, but at the end of the day, they decided to go against it and go with an older actress, okay? But I say that because it is very possible that in casting this movie, maybe it would have been a better choice to find actresses that looked younger, that were actually of age or older, to play younger parts so that people wouldn't be so triggered. Because I do agree that in this day and age, with all the issues that we're having with child pedophilia and trafficking, especially in Hollywood, that they could have handled that a little bit more sensitively and maybe had older actresses play younger parts, okay? But as far as the intention behind this movie, the message behind this movie, I actually quite enjoyed it from an artistic standpoint, okay? From an artistic standpoint, from the standpoint of the message that they were trying to convey, which is, parents, pay attention. You need to monitor what your children are looking at, because it's important to understand what it is they are exposed to if they have, a device in their hand, or they have access to a computer, or just the general stuff that they get exposed to at school. This particular character, she had a great base at home, right? She had a mother and a grandmother that cared for her very much, so be it that her father, her father wasn't in her life, and many of the other girls' fathers weren't also in their life, or they came from kind of rocky homes. But she had a good base. So it's that base that eventually pulls her back into kind of the struggle that she goes through of, okay, where do I want to land as a young woman? Who do I want to be? The danger is when a girl who is going through the everyday thing that a young girl goes through, the struggle that all girls go through, that if you don't have a good base, okay, to pull you back, the struggle is you don't go back to a good base. You stay in that dark space of constantly wanting the attention from men, or wanting the attention in the wrong ways by using your body. There's another character in the movie that she talks about how, she doesn't feel loved by her parents, and they always tell her what she does wrong and they never tell her what she does right. So she wants to be part of this dance group to show them that she's talented, and she wants them to be proud of her. So she's seeking that acceptance and that approval from her parents in this manner. Okay. So I do not suggest that young children watch this movie. Okay. I had a mom reach out to me and say, is this something that I can watch with my child? I really wouldn't suggest that children watch this movie at all. What I would suggest is that parents watch this movie and understand what children are going through. It is the reality. It is what they are exposed to. So it's our job as parents to minimize that exposure as much as possible. And when you can't minimize it, to always have an open dialogue with your child about what it is they're seeing, questions they have, and making sure that you know where they are as well. So I really feel, in all honesty, that this movie is not as bad as, what the image and the poster that they were putting out there made it out to be, okay? I was actually envisioning something like that this was like following around dance teams, and because they made it all about twerking and girls twerking. Yes, there is twerking in this movie, but it's not about twerking. It is about the struggle of a little girl, that a little girl goes through between a good, feminine image and a bad feminine image, and how she comes to terms with who she is as a young woman. So that's my 2 cents. I really hope that you guys take a look at this movie for yourself, develop your own opinion. Just like with everything else, having the facts is always important before you have a reaction to something, okay? I do want to make it very clear. Netflix could have handled this better, but they're in it to make money. And unfortunately, they used the little girl's sexualized image to market this movie to people who otherwise wouldn't have seen it. And I don't agree with that, okay? But I want to know what you guys think. Hit me up in the comments below. Have you seen Cuties? Are you going to watch it now after you saw my video? If you do watch it, come back and tell me what you think. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Share the video as well. And I will see you guys next time with another video. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.